Today we're going over the top 5 things that you should do before you list a house in 2026, and numbers 4 and 5 are the most important on this list, so you're going to want to make sure you stick around for that. Now, if you're new here, my name is Spencer Lowe. I'm with United Real Estate Louisville. I've been selling real estate here in Louisville since 2019. Make sure you click the subscribe button and the bell notification so you don't miss any of my market updates, buyer and seller tip videos, or just general real estate content that I post on this channel. Also, down in the description, I've got my 7 musts before you list a house in 2026. You're going to want to make sure you can go grab that. It's completely free to download, and I've linked it down below as well. Also, I've got my cell phone number down below, so if you are thinking about selling and you want to do a free consult, figure out what your house is really worth in today's market, I'd love to run some numbers for you. Give me a call, shoot me a text. I've also got a link down below to schedule a free Zoom call with me just to do a consult. So if you are thinking about selling or buying this year, the link's down below and my cell phone number's down below. With all that being said, let's jump into the video. Now, the first thing on our list is the actual listing prep. Now, when it comes to the listing prep, we're talking about curb appeal or staging. Want to make sure the house is clean. Maybe it's removing extra furniture and all that stuff. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is our curb appeal. Want to make sure that we don't have any eyesores in the curb appeal, whether it's a dead tree, a dead bush, big bare spot in the yard, maybe it's the gutters are falling off the house, maybe it's we've got an old deck on the front porch that probably needs to be repainted. Stuff like that is going to make a big difference because, let's be honest, typically the first thing that a home buyer sees when they look at your house is going to be the outside of the house. So that curb appeal is going to make a big difference. So we want to make sure that the outside of the house looks really good so that way people actually click on it on Zillow, Realtor.com, and all the other sites. And the second piece of that is we want to make sure that when we actually put the house on the market, we put a sign in the yard, if people are driving by, they don't think that it's a fixer-upper if it isn't a fixer-upper. If the inside of the house is immaculate but the outside of the house looks like it's falling apart, a lot of people are just going to scroll right past on Zillow, and a lot of people are going to drive by and not even call on the sign because they think the inside of the house probably doesn't look great if the outside of the house looks like that. So we want to make sure the outside of the house is taken care of. We want the yard to be cut, we want the bushes to be cut. We want to make sure that we, fresh mulch. We want maybe some new flowers. We want to make sure that we spruce up the outside because that is really our first impressions. Now, second thing, after we get done with our curb appeal, we want to come into the house and we want to remove about 50% of the stuff that we've got in the house. A lot of people, they have way too much stuff. It's hard to show the house in the best light possible when we've got all that stuff. Your living room probably doesn't need 4 recliners and 3 couches, right? It's probably going to make that living room feel a lot smaller than what it actually is. So we want to make sure that we simplify everything, make it really clean, and deep clean the house, the baseboards, the ceiling fans, all that stuff that maybe should get dusted more than it does, but nobody ever does because, let's be honest, it's not really going to make a big deal if we go a couple months without dusting the baseboards. So we want to make sure that when we're listing it, we actually have the house cleaned up. We also want to remove a lot of the extra stuff. Any horizontal surface, we want to pull the stuff off of it. And then the other thing is, if you've got pets, you should probably have your carpets deep cleaned by a professional company, have them come out and actually, get the stuff out of it, get that pet odor out of it, because that's going to make a big difference. Because when a buyer walks in, they're going to make a decision on how that house makes them feel in the first 8 seconds they're in the house. So I want to make sure that they have a really good opinion on it and a good impression when they first walk in, because if they walk in and all they smell is dogs or cats or pets, they're probably, if they don't like that smell, they're probably not going to like it, right? If they don't have pets, if they've already got cats and they're used to the cat smell, they're probably not going to care. But how many buyers are we potentially scaring off if they walk in and they don't like the cat smell or they don't like the dog smell and they're not used to it, right? So we want to make sure that all that stuff, we go ahead and get the odors out, make sure the house smells really good. We also want to open up all the windows. If we've got some dark rooms, maybe we add a couple lamps, maybe a couple mirrors, just to bounce the light around and kind of open the house up a lot. And then the other thing is when we actually go to list the house, we might consider just going ahead and staging the house just to give it a little bit of extra, flow, so that way when buyers come in, they feel like it's a really welcoming environment. A lot of buyers, when they walk into a house, if they see an empty room, they can't really imagine it being a bedroom or an office or a gym or anything else, so we kind of have to show them what each room could be used for. Now, once we have all that stuff done, we want to make sure that we go through and make sure that we touch up the paint. We want to make sure that all the little repairs that maybe we've been putting off, that drippy sink that it's leaking from the faucet right into the sink, it's not leaking on the floor, so it's not really causing any damage, but that's stuff that a buyer's going to walk in and see and go, well, what's going on with that? That's going to need to be fixed. And typically buyers take whatever repair it is and they 10 times the cost of it. So if it's a $5 repair, now it's $50 repair. It's a $50 repair, now it's a $250 repair. So we just want to make sure that all those little loose ends on our repairs go ahead and get fixed before we actually put the house on the market and actually have people coming through it, especially if they're visible in terms of from our camera angle. We want to make sure that that stuff gets fixed. So on that stuff, I'm talking there's a hole in the wall. Well, before we order photos, we might want to go ahead and patch that hole in the wall. That leaky sink that we're going to fix a couple days before we actually put it on the market, it's not a big deal to push it off until we're right about to list the house. But that hole in the wall, if we're ordering pictures a week before we actually list the house, we want to make sure that is fixed for the pictures. So just go ahead and make sure that we tidy up the loose ends on our repairs, make sure that the house is staged, it's cleaned up, smells good. It's well lit, and then also our curb appeal is going to be a big deal in the staging and the prep work and actually getting buyers to come into the house. Now the second piece of the puzzle is our marketing. Now when it comes to our marketing, a couple things that we need to do. First off, we want to get professional photos and videos of the house, because let's be really honest, professional photos and videos are going to show off the house in the best light possible. And then our professional photos, they're going to go on, the MLS, and that gets pulled into Zillow, Realtor.com, and all these other different search platforms. Now, the second piece of that puzzle is our videos, right? When it comes to our videos, what are we doing with them? Well, we're getting two types of videos. We're getting a TikTok style video, and we're getting a long video like YouTube style, right? And what we're doing with those is we're promoting them on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, making sure that we use the right format for each platform. My last listing, we got over 70,000 impressions in the course of 4 days. We sold it for over asking with multiple offers. Part of that was because of the strategy when we came into prepping the house and pricing the house, and also our marketing strategy, because we had a big buyer pool, because we showed off the house to over 70,000 potential buyers, and because of that we got a lot of interest on the house. So we want to make sure professional photos and professional videos, and then we want to promote those professional videos. We spend all our budget on professional photos and videos. Chances are we're not actually going to be able to expose the house, because let's be honest, putting those professional videos on social media, it's good organically. However, it's great when we throw a little bit of money behind it to actually get those house and that ad in front of people, right? So if we can get that house in front of 70,000 people in the course of 4 days, we're probably going to have some interest, right? So it's all about strategy when we go in, but marketing the house and actually being able to show off the house to thousands of potential buyers is going to give us a lot bigger of a buyer pool and hopefully better results. Now, the third thing we want to make sure that we do is we want to make sure we time the market. Now, when it comes to timing the market, I'm not a proponent of waiting for the market to collapse before you buy, or waiting for the market to explode when you go to sell, and make sure that there's multiple offers on every single house before you list a house. Not saying that at all. What I'm saying is when you're ready to list your house, we want to make sure that we're actually looking at the next 2 weeks and figuring out when the best time to list it is. If we're going into Derby weekend, chances are that weekend is not going to be a good weekend to actually put the house on the market. A lot of people are preoccupied. A lot of serious buyers that have been looking for 6 months, haven't found the right house. They're preoccupied, and they're not really going to be keeping up with housing market on Derby weekend, because they're going to a Derby party or they're hosting a Derby party. Same thing with Mother's Day weekend, Father's Day weekend, Super Bowl Sunday. Different weekends have a little bit of a tendency to kind of slow things down in their housing market. So we want to make sure that we're timing the market a little bit when it comes to that. The second piece of that is I like to list on Thursdays. The reason I like to list on Thursdays is because Thursday gives us time to promote the house on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday for our open house. It gives us plenty of runway time to actually have a busy open house. And the second piece of that is it makes sure that we can get a bunch of eyes on it before our open house. So if we can get thousands of views in the course of 4 days, by Sunday we should have a pretty good interested buyer pool, and ideally we have a lot of them come through the open house. So main goal with it is not necessarily to time the market in terms of, is it a seller's market or is it a buyer's market? If you need to sell, you're probably in the position where maybe it is, just something you're looking to upgrade or downgrade or something like that, and you're not really super pressed to move, but it's not necessarily always worth waiting for the market to either improve or go down. It just depends on your specific situation. But as of right now, we are still in a seller's market. I would highly recommend going and checking out one of my most recent market updates if you're watching this in 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, whatever it is. But the main thing is when you're looking to list a house, we just want to make sure that we're not listing on Mother's Day weekend, Father's Day weekend, Super Bowl Sunday, or the weekend of Derby, right? We want to make sure that we're kind of timing the market a little bit. And the second piece of that is I like to list on Thursdays, which gives us plenty of runway to do a Sunday open house and have plenty of eyes on it before that open house. Now, the fourth thing you need to make sure you do is hire the right agent, because let's be really honest, I've been selling real estate since 2019. I've seen agents with strategies and they get good results. I've also seen agents without a strategy. They just stick the sign in the yard and they hope for the best. And that's not really a strategy. They're just hoping to get good results and hoping to get a commission check. We want to make sure that we're listing it with confidence. We've got professional photos. We've prepped the house right. We've priced the house right. And then we've also negotiate the deal, communicate with the other agents. We want to make sure we're picking up our phone for the other agents. If they got questions on it, we're picking up the phone saying, hey, what's up? What questions you got on it? Let's make sure that we can work out a deal with it. They can bring their buyers in. Their buyers see the house. And we want to make sure that we're communicating not just with the sellers, but also with the potential buyers, because trying to get a hold of a listing agent, sometimes it's really difficult from the stance of somebody who's represented a lot of buyers. Sometimes getting a hold of that listing agent is a hard thing to do, and some buyers aren't even going to wait for an answer. They're already on to the next house. So it's really important that you pick the right agent to have it in your corner. They're going to help you not only promote the house, not only market the house, not only order photos and videos, not only are they going to actually bring in people to potentially buy the house, they're also going to help you on the negotiation stance, the guidance stance, hey, they asked for these 4 items on the repair request, who do we call to do that? Because maybe you don't have a roofer, maybe you don't have a plumber, maybe you don't have an electrician. Well, we've got all those people. So picking the right agent to represent you and help you through this process is everything. So if you need help with that, I've got my phone number down in the description. I'd love to talk to you. Give me a call, shoot me a text, and I've also got that Zoom link down below as well. With that being said, let's jump into number 5. Now, number 5, and probably the most important thing on this list, is going to be the pricing of the house. Now, a lot of things can be done to the house in terms of the prep work and the staging and the curb appeal. A lot of things can be done when it comes to marketing the house. But at the end of the day, if we're $50,000, $100,000 overpriced, or sometimes even $20,000, $10,000 overpriced, a lot of buyers are going to kind of hit the brakes and they're going to go, I don't know, because I'm seeing other houses and the house down the street had a garage and this one doesn't have a garage, and they're asking way more for it. And I could have got one down the street a month ago with a garage. So that pricing point, buyers are keeping up with the market. They're really well informed. They've got information at the tip of their fingers right now. So we want to make sure that when we go in and we price the house, we've got comps and we've done our research to figure out the actual price. I see a lot of sellers, you go in, they think their house is worth one number because the neighbor's house just sold for that price, right? And it's not always about the neighbor's house, because let's be honest, if your house is a 2-story and the neighbor's house was ranch, they're not even comparable. Most appraisers aren't going to use a 2-story and compare it to a ranch. So we need to take your house that's 2-story, compare it to other 2-stories that are in the area. Specifically in your neighborhood, if you have a neighborhood or an HOA, that's what we like to do. But if you don't have any sales previously with a 2-story in the neighborhood, we'll go out a little bit and try to find ones that are really comparable. We're looking for bedroom count, bathroom count, and the square footage to be similar. And we also mainly are looking for the style of house, and then we're also looking at condition. We're looking at added features to the house. Maybe yours has a garage, the one down the street didn't have a garage. Maybe yours has a pool, the one down the street doesn't have a pool. Whatever it is, we're gonna look at the previous sales and see what is actually selling and what's actually sold. And that's the same thing the appraiser is gonna do. They're gonna do a little bit more in-depth than what an agent would do. They're licensed specifically for figuring out the value of the property. So I'm not saying that I'm gonna be able to put together a full appraisal for you, because I'm not a licensed appraiser, just a realtor. But the important thing as well is, once a buyer comes in, even if we price it $50,000 over ask and we're able to obtain an offer for it, it still has to meet an appraisal if that buyer is getting a mortgage. They're going conventional, FHA, USD, VA, jumbo, whatever it is, they're still gonna have to get an appraisal. So we need to be able to actually argue the value of it with comps and comparables of stuff that's actually sold recently around your house. So making sure that we do the legwork to figure out what your house is truly worth. A lot of people like to price their house really high, but the issue with that is if you price it high, first 7 to 10 days are the most important time on the market. That's when we get the most attention on the property. And once that attention starts to fade, we can do a price adjustment, and we can do a price adjustment. But that's really signaling to buyers that we're desperate, we need an offer, and a lot of times we get low ball offers because of that. So we want to make sure that we price it right from the start. It's going to get us a lot better of a result in terms of how many showings we have first week, how many offers we have first couple weeks, and all this stuff like that. We're going to get a lot better terms, and it also gives us a stronger negotiation standpoint when we're listing it at the correct price. If we list it $50,000 high and even 3 months down the road we cut it $50,000, well, now we're right at where we should have been. Well, the issue is it's now been on the market for 90 days and we just did a $50,000 price adjustment. If you were looking at buying that house that's been on the market for 90 days, they just did a $50,000 price adjustment, you're probably going to say, hey, they're negotiable. Let's go ahead and shoot them another $25,000 below what they just cut. So if they were at $350,000, they'd cut it to $300,000. You might come in at $275,000 and see if they'll accept it, because they're desperate. They're trying to sell it. They've been trying to sell it for 90 days. No results. They just cut it $50,000. Let's see if they'll take another $25,000 off, right? So we want to make sure that we're protecting our negotiation leverage, pricing it correctly from the start, as well as we know an appraisal is going to have to meet that number as well. So we want to make sure that it's not, ridiculously high, because even if we get a buyer that contractually signs an agreement to say they'll buy that house for that price, that appraisal can still come in low. So then the whole deal blows up if we're not willing to come down to that appraised value. So it's important that we price it correctly from the start. It's going to get us a lot better negotiation standpoint. It's also going to get us a lot better results at the end of the day when it comes to that appraisal coming in right and making sure everything goes smoothly. So price your house correctly from the start. It's going to be a lot easier to process. Now, if you are thinking about selling this year, once again, I'm Spencer Lowe. I'm with United Real Estate Louisville. I've been selling real estate here in Louisville since 2019. So give me a call, shoot me a text, or schedule a free call with me down below. I'd love to help you out. Make sure you click that subscribe button and the bell notification before you go. And once again, down in the description, I've got my 7 musts before you list a house in 2026. You're going to make sure you want to go and grab that. It's completely free to download, and I've linked it down below. With all that being said, I'll see you in the next one.